for having us. Thanks for everyone for being here. As Rex mentioned, I was at the Financial Solutions Lab working with Jose and others until about 4 or 5 months ago, when I joined EarnUp. So a little bit about me. I've had sort of a winding path that's led me here, but I won't go too deeply. Went to law school, realized fairly quickly I didn't want to be a lawyer. So while Alex is a recovering investment banker, I'm a recovering lawyer. And ended up at a big consulting firm and did a couple projects in payments and realized, hey, this is actually a pretty interesting space with a lot of innovation and a lot of opportunity to help people in America and abroad, but felt like in that consulting role, I wasn't getting to do that kind of work. So after a couple of years with the consulting firm, I left and I joined a small mission-driven seed stage startup called One Financial. And we were sort of based in New York as well as Emeryville, and I was helping run operations. I was number 10, I think. We lasted a year or so after that. This was it's kind of a neobank model focused really on the working poor. We couldn't crack, I would say, the customer acquisition nut, to stay with the metaphor, and sort of simplifying why I don't think things worked out, but it didn't work out. Luckily, One Financial was one of the Financial Solution Labs companies from the 2016 cohort, which is how I got introduced to the lab. And as I was looking around for what was going to come next, decided to jump onto this other side, sort of mission-driven, almost VC, but not really, more a nonprofit. Spent a couple years with the lab, got to know a bunch of great companies like those here and many others, as you've heard Jose and Rex talk about. So did that for a couple of years and then was sort of getting that itch to be an operator again. And had only been able to do that for a pretty limited amount of time with One Financial and decided to jump back in. Luckily, from sort of the lab's vantage point, I knew a bunch of the best sort of fintech companies in the country and in the Bay, and ended up at EarnUp. So I can sort of pivot a little bit and start talking about what we do at EarnUp. And I'll sort of get to my role within that as well. So EarnUp, you won't be surprised to hear, is a mission-driven fintech. And we aim to help people in America better pay down their debts. So what's the problem we're trying to solve? The problem, fundamentally, is that most people in America get paid every other week or twice a month. And their major debt obligations, so think mortgage, student loan, car loan, personal loans, credit cards, are due once a month. That might not be such a challenge for most of the folks in this room, but for the 60 to 70% of people in America who are living paycheck to paycheck, that just sort of simple mismatch there presents a really significant cash flow management problem. And so EarnUp's basic product is that we will set aside the portion of a person's income as they get paid that will be necessary to then pay down those debt obligations at the end of the month or the beginning of the month. And then we pay them on their behalf directly. And so that's sort of our value prop to consumers is, we'll take care of all of that for you. We'll help you with your budgeting. And we take that action on your behalf. This is something that I really came to believe strongly in at the lab, was that sort of companies that are providing action are sort of the most interesting and the most valuable. And we've seen, I think, sort of a progression within fintech from sort of, hey, we can provide information, sort of the early Mint days. We can provide some advice is sort of the next wave of that. And I think now it's sort of advice and aggregation. And now there's a lot of really exciting companies providing sort of the action where we'll take these actions on your behalf. And I think sort of all of the companies that are speaking here tonight sort of fall into that category. So that's sort of the consumer value prop of EarnUp. However, and we do distribute direct to consumer, but actually our largest distribution channel is B2B2C. And so we rely on mortgage servicers and other lenders to distribute our product to their borrowers. And our value prop to them is a little bit different, as you can imagine. But as a mission-driven company, we're really looking for areas where there's overlap between what our business partners sort of want and desire and what is best for our customers and what they want. So with our business customers, these servicers and lenders, we reduce delinquencies by about 30%. We improve on-time payments. And we can provide sort of analytics and insight into the health of their portfolios. And there's a bunch of ways in which that happens, and I think that's one of the more exciting directions that the company is growing, is thinking more about what kind of value can we add there. But I think even just in its sort of basic form right now, where because of our relationship with our customers, we're seeing, hey, this customer missed their first debit of the month that we would be setting aside. They called us up and let us know, hey, we can't afford this, we need to push it off. That's really useful information. And sort of how can we leverage that for our partners or for EarnUp to help prevent those customers from going into delinquency, from ending up, as one of Alex's customers with Resolve, and sort of falling into, those sort of statistics that he was showing on there with more debt. And I think on that point, there's about 60 to 70% of missed payments from our research and others. 60 to 70% of those payments are avoidable. And they're because of sort of cash flow mismanagement, they're because of mistakes, they're because the mortgage was sold to a different lender and that notice got lost in the mail to the customer, and so they missed their payment, and hey, they got a ding on their credit after 30, you can see these things starting to snowball. And so that's really, that 60 to 70% that are avoidable missed payments, that's what we're really focused on. And I think it sort of dovetails nicely with Resolve. They're sort of focused on that other 30 to 40% where these people have more debt than they can handle, they lost their job, et cetera, et cetera. So that's sort of our core product, that's our value prop on both sides. I think it's always important for companies to talk about how they make money. We make money by charging either our users or our business partners a monthly fee per consumer. And I think that this is another thing that I came to believe strongly in at the lab, is if you have a valuable product, people will pay you for it and should pay you for it. And it's sort of the best feedback loop of customer success that we have is, are people willing to pay you for your product? So, and not to knock any sort of creative revenue models out there, but I think that's one that we believe in. And things are going really well. We're growing like crazy. We have over $10 billion of loans on our platform currently. We're about 20 employees, I think about a year ago was the number I heard, and now we're over 60. And over 90 if you include sort of our full-time call center staff as well. So as the last slide of Morgan's presentation, I'll just reference the other slides since I don't have my own. It's very scrappy. We're a scrappy startup here. We are also hiring, so if you're a product manager, developer, or really anything, we're hiring across the board. Would love to talk to you. And I should also mention sort of what my role is. I'm a product manager, like Rex mentioned, but I'm sort of focused on the back-end payments platform. So making sure we're able to move money on behalf of our customers. Since we're not a bank, we're not a money transmitter, we rely on financial institutions to do that for our customers. And that's sort of our core product. We have other really amazing and interesting things that we're also rolling out. And so happy to talk more about that after the fact. Since I don't have flashy slides or a TED Talk style delivery, I'll stop now. But thank you all for being here. Excited to talk to anybody after the fact.